Tests for truth. A rational way to determine truth. Theories of truth. Correspondence theory and coherence theory of truth. Correspondence theory was put forward by Plato, Aristotle, and continued by Aquinas. According to this theory, truth is that which corresponds with reality. Example, you are listening to me. It is true if in fact you are doing so. So that is, in simple words, the correspondence theory of truth. I ate chicken for dinner. If I had in fact eaten chicken for dinner, then my statement corresponds with the state of affairs and therefore is considered as true. Suppose if I had eaten beef and I say and when I answer I ate chicken for dinner, then there is no correspondence between what I said and what actually happened or was the case. So there is no correspondence, therefore it is false. So this is, in short, the correspondence theory of truth. To say what is that it is not is false, while to say what is that it is true. This is Aristotle's quote. Coherence theory of truth. This theory is applied to systems of truth. For example, systems claiming to be real, like atheism, theism, pantheism, etc. Communism, materialism, and all these overarching claims which claim to be the true representation of reality. So in order to assess, come up with these broader truth systems, we use the coherence theory. According to this theory, different facts in the system need to be coherent or need to be without any contradiction with one another. Truth propositions from various fields used to build the system should not be contradictory but must cohere to form a system of thought. It was put forward by Hegel, Spinoza, Leibniz, and Bradley. So they came up with systems, like Hegel came up with the dialectic materialism and dialectics, and Spinoza with pantheism, and these people came up with systems of thought and here in this context, coherence theory is a very important determinant of truth. One of the properties of truth is corrigibility, or since human knowledge is imperfect, this needs to be increased, corrected, and updated. So this property of we learning more about a certain thing and deepening and broadening your knowledge about a certain topic is called corrigibility. Tests for truth. First test for truth is reasonableness. In rationality or reasonableness, we have inescapable reasoning and avoiding logical contradictions and fallacies. There are two aspects which should be met in order for a proposition or a system to be reasonable and true. Inescapable reasoning. Here we have premise 1, which takes P, which is a true proposition, and a premise 2, which takes Q, another true proposition. And if these two are true, then the conclusion X will automatically follow. So that is what inescapable reasoning means. It is based on premises, true premises, and conclusion. If the premise is false or proved to be false, then the conclusion can be rejected. So this is in short. I will not go into detail now. We will look at it separately and in a little bit more detail in another presentation. The second part of being reasonable is avoiding logical contradictions and fallacies. Here, what we are proposing, our proposition or system of truth should abide by the laws of logic, law of identity, law of non-contradiction, law of excluded middle, and it should also avoid logical fallacies. So even here I will not go into details now. We will do it in a separate presentation so that things can be looked into a little bit deeper. The second test for truth is congruence. Congruence refers to empirical and factual adequacy. Does the proposition or system lie in line with and corresponds with scientific, mathematical, historical, and archaeological data, which is very important to determine the factualness of a proposition. Is it scientific? Is there all the scientific data? Does it fit with all the scientific data, mathematical data? Does it have any historical data? And is there any contradiction with historical and archaeological data? All these things have to be taken into consideration and made sure that what we are proposing does not contradict known knowledge claims in specialist areas. So that is empirical and factual adequacy. Third test for truth is comprehensiveness. Comprehensiveness refers to experiential relevance. So comprehensiveness, this test for truth mainly applies in the context of systems of truth. Does a system of truth like atheism, pantheism, theism, does it explain a wide variety of human experience? For example, naturalism The view that only what we see in nature exists. Supernatural things like God, angels, demons do not exist. This view is weak in accounting for spiritual and religious experience of vast majority of humans. Vast majority of humans have spiritual and religious experiences and are religious, and naturalism cannot explain such a big phenomenon found in the human society adequately. Another example, pantheism, a system of belief seen in philosophical Hinduism and also with Spinoza. Pantheism calls all of experienced reality as illusion, and thus it is not comprehensive in explaining reality. You cannot call everything an illusion, then you're calling everything an illusion is also an illusion. In fact, it turns out to be near zero when it comes to experiential relevance. It is very inadequate in explaining experienced reality. The fourth test for truth is coherence, and this is almost same as the coherence theory of truth. This also applies to systems of truth, and it talks about and refers to the unity uh, between facts, logic, and experience. Is there a disconnect or contradiction between this? Then that theory claiming to reality is less probable because of its incoherence. Again, the good example is pantheism, where facts of daily life, facts of nature, logic explains everything. Even the distinction between these are removed into absolute monism, into oneness. So there is no distinction between right and wrong, logical and illogical, facts and fads. So such a claim to reality is incoherent and less likely or not likely to be a true representation of reality. Fifth test for truth is plausibility. Plausibility refers to explanatory power. Explanatory power refers to the capacity of a system of thought to explain all the facts, reasoning, and experience of reality. In other words, explanatory power refers to questions of origin, meaning, morality, and destiny. Does a system of thought adequately explain origin? How did the universe come into existence? Meaning? Is it meaningful? Is there objective truth? Morality? Is there real right and wrong? Or is that just a human construct? And destiny? Is there a destiny for human beings beyond death? Or is death the fun of destiny? So a good system of thought will be able to answer everything in a coherent, congruent way without any contradictions, and will account for all the facts of reality adequately. Example, atheism lacks explanatory power as it cannot adequately explain origin. Origins is always a problem for atheism. It cannot explain adequately meaning. Why is is everything meaningful if everything is just an accident? Atheism cannot explain morality adequately, since according to atheism there is no God, no moral lawgiver. Morality happens to be just a social construct, but experience tells us that real right and wrong must exist, which points to a real moral law, which points to the existence of a moral lawgiver. And atheism lacks explanatory power, as it cannot adequately explain design in the universe. Therefore, atheism is a very poor reflection of a system claiming to be true, claiming to represent reality. Next, we come to the sixth test for truth. It's undeniability. Undeniability is classified into definitional undeniability and existential undeniability. Definitional undeniability are truth propositions which are true by definition. Example, all bachelors are unmarried. It is impossible for a bachelor to be married. So it is a definitionally undeniable proposition. It's undeniable fact by definition. Another example would be a triangle has three sides. Next we come to existential undeniability. Examples would be I actually exist, you exist, internet exists, the world exists. These are undeniable existential facts. The seventh and the final test for truth is unaffirmability. This refers to self-defeating statements. These statements, if true, make the proposition false. This is classified into direct unaffirmability and indirect unaffirmability. Direct unaffirmability deals with statements that provide necessary information to disprove itself. Examples: I cannot think. I cannot write a word in English. When I type that I cannot write a word, or when I write that I cannot write a word in English, I have disproved my own statement. So that is an example of direct unaffirmability. The statement is true, then the proposition is false. Indirect unaffirmability. These statements do not contain the data to disprove itself of themselves, but the very act of thinking them disproves them. For example, agnosticism. I cannot know anything about ultimate reality. That is agnosticism. But you knowing that you cannot know anything about ultimate reality is something about ultimate reality which you know. Therefore, agnosticism self-destructs. By definition, it says, I know something, but it says that it cannot be known. So there is a contradiction, and agnosticism self-destructs. By the very act of saying that I cannot know, it says that it knows. That it knows that it cannot know. Therefore, it self-destructs. The very act of knowing that you cannot know anything about ultimate reality contradicts the claim that nothing can be known about ultimate reality. So this is an example of indirect unaffirmability. The statement could not be affirmed. That's the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Please leave your feedback, so I'll try to improve if it's necessary.